What up, Strong Long fans? Uh-oh. Now remember in the closing scene of the last episode, the Chocolate Mermaids and Ghost Fairy episode that Fango was in? Because, right at the end of the episode, that's when these alien robot girls you're seeing right now shows up. Well, yeah, the part with these robots are happening right now. Well, let's say the episode opens with Fangy and Fango. Or actually, no, let's say it opens with a recap of Fango versus the Chocolate Mermaids and then the Ghost Fairy. And then it recaps all that, and then once we cut to the robots, that's when we cut to Fangy and Fango at their house. Like that. Yeah, a lot of cartoons and series shows that. Movies does that too. Maybe video games. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Well, this one sure will. And then once we get to the robot, this robot battle, we'll see that Fangy and Fango are just, minding their own business at the house. When all of a sudden, Hacker shows up saying that the Dream Gate just opened. And Fango's like, what? Not again! Actually, let's say he actually says that, because I actually like that one. He says, what? Not again! That's a good one, actually. So, yeah, after the intro, or the recap comes out. Well, this isn't about the intro. I'll tell you how the intro goes after this podcast, maybe. So yeah, after the recap, we see, like I said, Fangy and Fango are hanging out together at home, and they're saying, hey Fango, you want to go to the mall? And then Fango says yes. That's what Fangy asks. Or wait, which part was I? Oh yeah, Hacker shows up. Actually, cut that part from the scene, because that's not what I was mentioning. Sorry, I just stopped podcasting and then came back, because I needed a break from podcasting at first, but since I'm back now, so yeah, after, maybe let's say Fangy asked if Fango wanted to go to the mall, and he says yes, and then once they go outside, well, right before they do, let's say the doorbell rings, and then it gets their attention. They let's say, Fangy says, "Who's that?" Fango says, "I'll get it." And then when he opens the door, he sees Hacker, and then Hacker tells them that the Dream Gate opened, and then Fango's like, "What? Not again!" And then he says, what? Not again! and then we see Fango says, me and Fangy were about to go to the mall. Now I have to deal with another Lunerboonie. And then Hacker says, I'm afraid so. Fango says, well, here it goes. Now he doesn't get in his mecha suit yet. Well, maybe when I discover her, I can fight her. Hacker says, good choice. Just gotta give you some time. Yeah, and then they leave to go to the mall. When they go to the mall, you can see how much fun they're having there. Fango goes to an arcade. Fangy is at the arcade too. They buy, they look at a crystal shop, and then they look at lots of cool things. Unfortunately, crystals are really expensive, so they can't buy them, unfortunately. And then they tell Fangy and Fango. And then And then Fango says, or let's say they go and get some food. Sorry, I was trying to think there for a second. So yeah, they get some food, and then Fangy and Fango drops at the they go they find a toy store and they say, "Oh, cool. Let's get something from the toy store." And they get like then they just look around. We see that they don't find anything really interesting except a catapult. He says, "A catapult." Yeah, they get the idea to use a catapult. Pretty darn stinking fun, right? It's a catapult, y'all. Yeah, it's a giant toy catapult that can launch basketballs or baseballs or soccer balls, pretty much any ball into the air. Hey, oh, and since they buy that, let's say Fangy uses that to help Fango in one scene. But yeah, anyway, when Fangy and Fango leaves the store, or the mall, well, let's say they go and get a game, they find this game, it's called Destructor. It's a game where you can cause destruction. Fangy and Fango buys it. And then they return home. And then they start playing the game. And then they see, and then what he sees, like, you can use like something to avoid being shot by military vehicles, like towers and stuff. And then when they're playing the game, yeah, you can use cars or trucks or buildings or towers or bridges or houses to defeat the military, because pretty much it's not going to do anything to you, but just, it's not, the good thing is it's not a survival type game or whatever it is. It's not a game where you'll die or lose a life. It's just like a game where you just might, let's say you would just get destroyed, and like the health bar would just go down, but if you like die, you'll just automatically respawn. Kind of like, you know how it works in Lego City Undercover, like if you die, you just automatically respawn, like respawn like this. Or I don't want to show it, I just want to tell you how it works. Fango's like, well, this is a good game. Well, yeah, they won't mention Lego City though, but yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, like, if you die, you just automatically respawn. And they use, like, buildings and towers. And then Fango uses a tower to defeat an aircraft and a few other buildings. He says, "Whoa, look at all those buildings, look at all those military vehicles I took out. It's pretty darn stinking amazing." And then when they're done playing the game, they decide they go for a walk. And then that's when we cut to these robotic girls that you're seeing on screen. They wake up and then they let's say that, well, maybe we don't cut to them yet. We're still on Fangy and Fango, and then suddenly we hear, that's when they're outside, they go for a walk in downtown, like, let's say they were, like, yeah, it's just another battle in Green Ridge. It's another battle in downtown Green Ridge. And then, yeah, and then they start fighting. Well, maybe not directly downtown, but like, while they're right outside, like right next to the city limit, we hear, like, that's when we notice the ground shakes. And then we see, and then suddenly that's when we see the robotic, like these alien robot girls, like step on and crush the Green Ridge welcome sign. We cut to the the Green Ridge welcome sign, like before that, we see Fango's, we hear the footsteps, and then the ground shakes. Fango says, "Whoa! What was that?" And then it shakes again, and then Fangy says, "Look!" And then Fango gasps, and then yeah, we hear car horns at the same time, and then that's when we cut to the Green Ridge welcome sign, and then we see the Green Ridge welcome sign get crushed by the alien robot girl's giant foot, and then we see people running and screaming from them, and then they stop and then we just cut to the people who are running and screaming from them, and then we pan up to the alien robot girls and their evil looking face. It's kind of funny, right? It's pretty darn stinking awesome, to be honest. Alright, y'all. Forgot what I was just the dialogue I was talking about in this part, but if I remember, I think I was trying to think of a dialogue for it. But yeah, I know I just said that I'm sorry if my cursor just got on there, but I really hope it didn't. Looked like I just moved my cursor in front of this, where the like shot was recording, but hey, it's okay. Yeah. So, like, what I was saying, yeah, so yeah, when first Fangy and Fango notices the rumble and the ground shaking, and then we cut to the Green Ridge welcome sign being crushed by these alien robot girls' foot as they're entering Green Ridge to destroy it, which I think is actually a good idea, because you can't just only destroy, like the cars and the buildings and the utilities, including the left turn signal water tower. You even have to destroy their welcome sign. You know? And then that's when we see them. Let's say we see them stop, and that's when we see the one who's in charge of them. We see the one in the middle, and then the two behind her when they stop. We see the one in the middle, like, stops, and but not only does she stop, she knocks over a tree when she stops. And then, actually we pan up to her. Well, first we cut to the people screaming after the sign gets crushed, and like the welcome sign gets crushed by their foot, and then everybody runs. Sorry, sometimes I have to remember what I just added to the story. So yeah, everybody runs after we see them like crush the welcome sign with their big feet. So yeah, we cut to the welcome sign being crushed, then we cut to all the citizens running and screaming. And they're running, the Stronglongs who are not the main characters. Maybe you might see some main characters, while most of them are not the main characters. Maybe let's say we cut, and then after we cut to them, then we cut to a part, like a scene that we'll see Sid show up, and he says, "What are those?" And then we cut to the alien robot girls, and then we pan up to their face. Yeah, the camera view or angle is facing at the bottom of them, but then we pan up to them whole, and then Fango's like, "Okay, that just stinks." And then we see them, and then they start walking, and we see them, we see a few cars, as we see them walking by, we see two cars almost runs into them, and then and the car that almost hits them gets rear-ended. And then we see them come to a stop, and then they walk into a tree. Yeah, and then we see them knock over a tree, because when they come to a stop, they stop, and then they knock over a tree and then they stop. They stop in the area that the tree was in, because when they hit it, the tree falls. And then Fango says, "It's time to get in my mecha suit." Let's say Fango's mecha suit looks like this. Well, maybe I would just probably want to describe it. So yeah, let's say the mecha suit he's driving kind of looks like an astronaut. Kind of like an astronaut suit, but Fango, but it's really a mecha suit. Let's say that the mecha suit wasn't really that big. Let's say it was like only the size of like, yeah, let's say it was like the size of maybe like a pine tree. Let's say it was the size of a pine tree sized mecha suit. Let's say Fango was having a hard time dealing with this one. Let's say you meet the like Forky and Walky's clone, you know? Because I probably should have told you or showed you that Fango, that he made a clone of Forky and Walky, but yeah, I can probably show you after I'm done with this podcast. And yeah, this is the part where they help him. And then this is the part where Fangy decides, like, so yeah, and this is the part where we see Fango start. Before we get to that, the part where Fango's like friends gets to help. Yeah, Fango's friends, maybe not truly Fangy's. Let's say Fangy's helps too. I thought maybe let's say like kind of like Fango's, this mecha suit has like a machine gun around its wrist. It's got like kind of like it's like around its wrist like a bracelet, both of its wrists, and let's say the fist opens up like this. Here, I'll show you what I mean. Now see, this is how the arm works. So yeah, see, these holes right here is the machine gun, and the fist opens up like this, and you see there's 3 holes, and this is where the rocket launches out. Yeah, see, that's how it works. That's how this like mecha suit is designed, and it's pretty cool because like the astronaut part is where you see Fango, because like Fango wants everybody to be able to see him. Let's say maybe I want like all these mecha suits to have like a TV screen, like a monitor on their chest that has Fango on them, which I thought would be more funny. But yeah, something like that. So yeah, this is how the mecha suit for these girls works. Yeah, he's pretty tough on these girls with his mecha suit, like his astronaut looking mecha suit. Yeah, even though it's kind of like got like a helicopter type window or like windshield or whatever it is, he still wants people. He just, he could be pretty hard to see still when you're very far, so that's why he has like a camera. But then he's having a hard time. Yeah, well, we'll get to that part soon. First he charges at them, then we see he's got like elbow rockets, like like there's like a rocket and his like the elbow of his mecha suit has a rocket. And like and then we see that let's say that the robot notices Fango, and then Fango he uses his mecha suit robot arm, and then he uses the elbow rocket. He goes like, and it's like kind of pushing, but he's using his strength to keep the arm behind. And once the robots gets closer, then he charges back at them really fast, and then that's when he releases the arm, and then he goes right into their eyes. They go like, ah! And we see she's holding on to her eye because it hurts. And let's say she tries to, and when her eye feels better, she sees Fango coming back at her. We see he uses his like wrist machine guns. Yeah, his machine gun bracelets, and then they go, and then they try to knock, and then and the one that you see on the let's say the one on the right knocks, like the one you see on the right now, or yeah, right, not Reich, but still, yeah, the one on the right, yeah, the one you see on the right now, she's the one who tries to knock a building onto Fango, but Fango dodges. He's like, whoa! He kind of makes like a little like swing to the right. He goes like, whoa! The building was about to land on him. It was coming from the left, so he swings to the right so he doesn't get crushed. And then the one that you see on the left, she actually tries to kick Fango. He was like, wow! But she missed. Yeah. And the one you see in the middle tries to grab him, but Fango dodges her hand. And then the tall one, the girl, the tall, thin, like skinny girl, like alien robot girl, you see, like the one that you see on the left. We see that. Let's say she grabs. Let's start with the one on the right. Let's say the one on the right. She grabs a tanker truck and tries to hit Fango with it, but she barely hits him, because she ends up hitting a building, and when the tanker truck hits the building, it explodes. And let's say it wasn't a very sturdy building, because once the tanker truck hit it and exploded, the building collapsed. Let's say the tanker truck's explosion was strong enough to collapse the building. And something like that, and then she goes like, ugh! This is funny. And that's when we see Fango grab. And that's when we see Fango try. And that's when he comes back towards them. And then that's when we see the one on the left. We see she grabs a communications tower. She grabs one of the monopole type cell towers. She grabs it and tries to whack Fango with it. But Fango dodges it. She misses again. Then she tries, or let's say when she grabs it, well, let's say the military starts attacking them, and then we see that they're being attacked, and then that's when we see these two tanks pull up, and then that's when they start shooting at the alien robot girls. And then the one you see on the left, she grabs a monopole cell tower. Yeah, a monopole. That's, yeah, I mean this kind of cell tower. Yeah, it's this kind she uses to shoot at. Yeah, she grabs this kind of cell tower, and yeah, and when she grabs it, she sees it when she realizes that her and the other two alien robot girls are being attacked by two tanks. Well, let's not say there was two. Let's say there was maybe at least maybe 5 or 8 of them, and then that's when the girl you see on the left, she grabs, when she sees the cell tower, and then she grabs it, and then she throws it, and when she grabs it, she throws it at the tanks, and she goes wah! Wah! She throws it really hard, and when we see the tower crush the tanks, and then that's when we see the tower crush the tanks, and then the tanks explodes after the cell tower crushes them. Yeah, she doesn't just hit some of them. She literally hits all the tanks that were under the cell tower. Maybe let's say there was only 5 of them attacking her, and the other 2 alien robot girls, and she crushes all of them, and then all of them explodes, and then and you actually see the cell tower get damaged more. You see like the entire structure, like the top of it. Like after it crushes the tanks, the explosion breaks it to pieces as well. And then the one you see in the middle, like the one on the left, and then and the one you see in the middle gives the one that you see on the left. They give each other a high five. They go like, yeah, because they liked what she did. And the one that you see on the right was like, oh yeah, woo, yeah. She's just making that face. And then Fango says, huh. But then and that's when we see Fango use his rocket attack when we see him coming from the opposite direction. He says, like, ah. And then that's when we see Fango attack the once again. He uses his fists. That's when you see the fists of his robot open up, and then they try to knock him. And then they try to knock him out of the sky. Let's say they knock him to the side, like whoa, and he's like, wow, and then he smashes into a building. He says, and then when he smashes into an office building, you see there's people working in it, and they go like, whoa, at least nobody got hurt. Fango says, sorry about that. Gotta get back to those mean old alien robot girls. Oh no, I think it's just better if he just says, sorry about that. Yeah, he just apologizes to the people for smashing into the office building and scaring them. But yeah, then he gets back to the fight. And then we see that the alien and robot girls are now being attacked by fighter jets. And that's when we see that's when you see the skinny girl, yeah, who is the one on the left again. She actually reaches out and punches one. She actually knocks them to the side, and she goes like, rah! And then let's say she grabs it and then throws it at the other ones. Or, yeah. Let's say she, grabs it, and then she just punches it. Or let's say she does, a backflip to take it out. She goes like, wah! And then she kicks it. And then the airplane crashes into a station tower. Yeah, one of Stronglung's towers, the towers that Stronglung's invented. Or let's say it crashes into an onion dome cathedral. Or maybe just a Capitol building type cathedral. Yeah, and she kicks it, and then and then the fire jet crashes into a Capitol building cathedral. That's what we should call cathedrals that has a Capitol building design, and then it goes like, and then yeah, I think the fighter jet, when she kicks the fighter jet makes that same sound that you hear when the giant crocodile in the movie Rampage grabs the fighter jet and throws it into the building. It's this same sound that the fighter jet makes when it smashes into the when the crocodile throws it into the building in the movie Rampage. I'm not now I'm not really remaking that scene, but I thought it'd be cool if maybe the fighter jet it made its same crashing, the exact same crashing sound in Rampage. You know, the scene the fighter jet gets knocked thrown into a building by the giant crocodile. Maybe that it would probably make the same sound. And it makes that same sound, and then the girl, the girl you see on the left, yeah, the alien robot girl on the left, we'll just call her the tall skinny one. Yeah, the one who, yeah, you know which one I'm talking about, the tall skinny one. Yeah, we'll just call her the tall skinny one. She kind of does a cheerleader move, but she does it to avoid being attacked. But yeah, she kicks the airplane, and then the airplane or the fighter jet I meant, she crashes, and then it crashes into the cathedral. Like, it hits like the very top of the dome. It doesn't hit like the like steeple or antenna on top. It just hits like the part, like the like dome part, like the roof. It just, and then like once it hits the roof, let's say it just busts like right straight through the dome, and then the dome just, and then the fire jet explodes, and then the dome just catches on fire. And Fango says, "Oh no, this ain't over yet." Looks like, turns out, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? Yeah, running a fighter jet into a cathedral like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a St. Paul's Cathedral type cathedral she kicked the fighter jet into by doing a backflip type kick. She goes like, she goes, wah! And then she kicks the fighter jet, and then the soldier inside can't control it now. Like, the kick was strong enough to make the fighter jet lose control, and then it crashes into the cathedral. Yeah, yeah, maybe let's say this battle. Yeah, it's just a cathedral in Greenridge. I wouldn't say it's really the Capitol building. You know what, maybe let's say it really was the Capitol building. Let's say it was actually the Capitol building let's actually make it the Capitol building that she knocked it into. Or maybe it should just be a different... No, since all the other stuff was mentioned to be Greenridge, so we gotta leave it Greenridge. So, yeah, I guess we'll just have to make the building she ran the fighter jet into is the Capitol building. Or it can be a cathedral, just kind of has like in St. Paul's Cathedral design. Let's say the Capitol building also has a dome, just the cathedral. You see it like that. You see, yeah. Let's say that cathedral also has like a clock tower next to it. Or no, let's say the clock tower is like right next to her. And then that's when you see... Yeah, well, let's not stay on that scene for too long, because we do have to get on to the next scene. Yeah, so or we could just make it be the Capitol building she just ran the fighter jet into. I think it'd be better if it was just a dome cathedral. Yeah. and that's when we see her, and then that's when we see attack helicopters coming for her, and then you see rocket launcher trucks shooting her, shooting not only just her, but the other two as well. Let's say the one you see on the right grabs one of the, we see, the rocket launcher trucks, we see more tanks show up. We see she grabs one of the trucks and throws it at the tank. She knocks one of the helicopters out of the sky, and then we see 3 fighter jets come in. We see she jumps and knocks one of the fighter jets that tries to shoot her. Yeah, they couldn't handle. One couldn't make it, and then that's when we see the tall, skinny girl go for another attack, because we see an attack helicopter attacking her, and then she attacks back, and then Fango. No, not Fango. The alien robot girls. Yeah, because after the long skinny one, or the tall skinny one, I meant, when she attacks back at when she attacks the attack helicopter back, she punches it in the back propeller, whatever it's called, and then when it breaks off, the helicopter crashes into a clock tower. That's when we see it crash into the clock tower, and then the clock tower falls over. and then we see the two, and then we see another, and then she's like, woo! Woo! She's cute. And then that's when Fango says, then he uses his laser eyes. And then that's when we see him shoot at the girl you see in the middle. And she goes like, ah! And then and then the tall skinny girl and the short one, we'll just call like the one that you see on the right, the short one. The short one and the tall skinny one. They gasp when they see the one in the middle get shot. Yeah, well, let's say the one in the middle, we'll just call her I don't know what we should call her. We could just call her the one in the middle for now. We can give them names. I probably could give them names later. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, yeah, they attack. And they go... Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when we see Fango, like, and then Fango realizes how much damage they cause. He sees that, he looks at everything they destroyed, they destroyed tanks with a cell tower, they ran a fighter jet into the Capitol building, so yeah. And then he sees that. They also saw what they did to the clock tower with the helicopter. They ran a helicopter into the clock tower. So yeah, I think it'd be better. Yeah. So yeah, take back to the cathedral thing. I think maybe since this is a Green Ridge battle, like the battle's taking place in Green Ridge, I think they should just run the fighter jet into the Capitol building, because like the only cathedral in Green Ridge would be one that doesn't have a dome. Yeah. But yeah, let's say they destroy that one too. Yeah, let's say they throw, they grab and then we see them continuing to destroy the city. And then but when Fango sees them, and then after he looks at everything they destroy, we see that they're charged, all three alien robot girls are coming to get him. And then we see this energy beam come out of their mouth. They all shoot an energy beam from their mouth. And then it goes kind of like a Godzilla type thing. Kind of it's not really Godzilla. They just have an energy beam. It's and it destroys. They destroy a few of the other structures. It go. And then they, a few of the buildings, yeah, they destroy a few of, Green Ridge's buildings, and then they collapse, and then they also, let's say they also shot a cathedral, and then that's when we see one try and throw. And that's when we see one grab a train. And that's when we see the one that you see in the middle. Or let's say the short one, the short alien robot girl. She grabs a freight train and tries to hit Fango with it. She goes she uses it, she goes wah! And parts of it gets destroyed. She goes wah! And we see a whole bunch of train cars, including the train itself, get thrown. And then we see that there's cars on the freeway. And one of the train cars causes a pile up. It lands on the freeway and a whole bunch of cars stops and it causes a pile up. And then they go, and there's there's even a semi truck in the accident. And then that's when we see them, and then we see that they charge at Fango, and then we see an ice cream truck and fire truck collide, when they charge at him, because let's say that the ice cream truck, their giant foot runs the ice cream truck into the fire truck, and that's how they collide. And And like we hear like both the ice cream truck song and the fire truck sirens, they both pan down like their sound does. Well, their sound pans down, not like, you know what I mean, like the sound, like the music and the siren gets destroyed and they just slowly turn off and they just stop working. And that's when we see them. We see that the tall one grabs the school bus, tries to hit Fango, and then she misses. She ends up and she crushes and then it lands on a gas station, causing an explosion. And that's when we see she gets mad. And what you see next is she crushes a cement truck because she steps on it. We see her step and crush a cement truck. Yeah. and then that's when we pan back up to her, and then she tries to attack Fango. Yeah. We see all the train cars. Yeah. And that's when we see them grab this and then that's when we see them climb up one of the skyscrapers. She grabs a rooftop globe and then Fango ducks. Fango almost gets hit, but then that's when we see one of his friends show up. We see Spoonie and Crawly, and then they show up, and then they run, and then they throw, and that's when they grab an airplane, like an airliner, passenger airplane. And then they try to hit them with it. They go ah! They almost get caught in the turbines, but they end up throwing the airplane at one of, and bad news, the left turn signal water towers gets destroyed too in this episode, because the airplane gets thrown into it. Yeah, they throw the airplane into one of the left turn signal water towers, and then the left turn signal water tower crushes not a building. It's actually a warehouse. It crushes a warehouse, and there's also an explosion when the airplane hits the water tower. There's an explosion when the water tower falls into the warehouse. There's another explosion, and now both the airplane, the water tower, and the warehouse are on fire. Let's say it actually fell it fell onto the water tower, because it was it also crushed the left turn signal when its left turn signal, the intersection and the traffic lights are destroyed. And then and then after that chaos, and that's when they roar again. They go Grrr! Well, they don't roar yet, we say. And then that's when the strong Fango says, ah! They say, and that's when they use their mouth beam again. And then they shoot them, but all they do is cut a whole bunch of cell towers, and then they shoot a cell site, and all the cell towers falls over, and then they're again mad, and then Fango says, they got an energy beam inside them. We gotta destroy them immediately. And then they fly into, and then that's when they all grab, and then that's when we see another mecha suit, a big one, and then that's when we see, Fango and his other two. Now this Lunerboonie, we actually see Fango, or these Lunerboonies, we see Fango actually fly inside of. Because this is an episode, this is the first Lunerboonies, game, one of the Lunerboonies. These are the first Lunerboonies. The first battle we see Spoonie and Crawly in, and this is the first one where we see Fango, fly inside of their body. Because he has to, fly into the robot's mouth, where the beam is coming out, and then they say, then they're all just too brave. Like, they're too brave. They're, like, very brave. Enough to, like, they're just brave enough to, like, fly into their mouth. Like, when they're about... And then they eat them. They go like, ah! And then we see them flying through their, like, the cannon, and then we see them... It's just like a circular tunnel that we see them fly through. And then that's when we see the energy beam in, like, the stomach part of their body. And then that's when we see the, like, orb, like, energy core shoot the beam out. And then we see, and that's when we, and then all of a sudden he says, and then that's when we see, and then Spoonie goes, and Crawley goes for the other two. It's pretty funny that, and they try to destroy them from the inside, but it doesn't work. And that's when we see, like two more, like, and that's when we see three more, like mecha suits, like bigger mecha suits, ones that are like just the same size as the, like, alien robot girls. That's like right before Spoonie and Crawley, like, flies inside them. He says, ah! And that's when we see it's two more people. His name is Doggy, which is Birdie's clone, and we got, which is, his name is Rolly, that's Lockie's clone. And we got QB, which is Ramby's clone. Yeah. And, like, you see, and then that's when they start attacking. And then that's when they attack. And then and they start beating the living snot out of the alien robot girls. Are going like, ah! And then that's when Spoonie and Crawley, and then that's when Crawley flies into the short one's mouth, and then Spoonie flies into the tall, skinny one's mouth, and then they just eat them. And then that's when we see them inside them, and that's when we see, and they try to destroy the core, but the energy core is too powerful to destroy by using their hands. They try their weapons, doesn't do it, but it has like this electric bolt that shoots them. No damage. They're like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then that's when we see them. And that's when they open their mouths again. And then that's when and here's the radar tower part. Like, yeah, Doggy and Rolly and QB, they grab three different, like, each one of them grabs like 3 different kinds of Doppler radar towers. Well, one has one certain type, and then that's when they throw the giant, the golf ball type, and then they throw it into their mouth, and then that's when they throw it, but they end up eating the radar tower, and then that's when like Fango, Spoonie, and Crawley notices, like, each one of the radar towers gets into each alien robot girl's mouth, because they just end up eating them like, and then they laugh until, and then we cut to the radar tower, like we see like the 3 radar towers like falling through their like esophagus cannon, like the barrel, I think. I don't know if we should call it that. Sorry, that's what they call, like, the part of a gun, like, where, like, the part where the bullet comes out, they call it the barrel. But, yeah, we'll just call it their, like esophagus cannon. Maybe we should just call it that, and then it comes through their mouth, and then the radar towers hits the core, and, like, they hit it, and let's say and then the radar towers hits the core really hard that the core suddenly begins to explode, and that's when we cut back outside to the alien robot girls, and then they stop laughing when their core, they grab their stomachs, and then that's when they grab them, and they grab on to their stomachs, like this, and then that's when they know what's happening, and then that's when we, or let's say it's like more in the chest, like the energy core was in the chest, and then like their stomach was like, I mean, like the organ stomach was in their chest, and their like body stomach, and that's when the like stomach explodes, like the core bursts through their chest, and that's when we see Fango, Spoony, and Crawley coming like out of all three of them, and we see like where they, and then that's when we see them like their eyes turns off, like their glowing eyes. Well, not their glowing. Their eyes turns off. So does their like teeth, because you see their teeth lights up too. And then that's when we see them fall back into a river. And then they're just completely broken from the Doppler radar towers. And not only does Fango get a reward, but his friends gets a reward too. He says, okay. Fango says, Spoon, he says, did you guys clone Bergie, Lockie, and Ramby? He says, yeah, because we thought that maybe these girls would have been too hard to, or they say that maybe it would have been harder to defeat them if there was only 3 of them, so they needed like at least 6 people to defeat 3 like tough metal alien robots, especially when they're females like that. But hey, at least, yeah. And then he says, and then that's when we see the governor say, we're proud of all of you. Fango says, yeah, thanks, man. And he says, thanks, man. And then they all laugh. And then the episode ends that way. And then, but not only do we see that, we just, let me think. Yeah, before the episode ends, we cut back to planet Lunerboonie, where the, the behemoth, where the master of the Lunerboonies says, ugh, I knew this wouldn't work. Now I'm sending the next Lunerboonie right now. And that's when the episode ends.